It's time for the Nebraska Men's Basketball Coaches Show.
Wooster dribbles it left to right to the sideline, drives the ball, drops it off, and the layup is up and good by Gary, and Nebraska's got the lead 55-54. Gary with a career-high 25-point night against Southern Cal. Deep left corner, Wooster jumps to catch it, back to Williams. Jab step, 6 on the clock, puts it up. On line, got it to tie it. It's 69-69, a minute 15 to go.
And Bryce, 5-0 run to tie this sucker up.
Here's Morgan with a basketball, 13 on the shot clock. Morgan hands it off to Hoiberg, shoots the three on the way. Got it! Sammy, my boy, knocks it home. Was that a 2 or a 3?
That's a 3 for Sam.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome in to the program. We've got an hour of our Nebraska men's basketball show ahead. We've got multiple guests that are set to check in. We're going to hear from Sam Hoiberg later in the hour. Strength and conditioning coach Kurt Joseph will stop by, but we're going to kick things off with assistant coach Ernie Ziegler spending some time with us. Coach, thanks for being here with us.
Oh, Jessica, you're more than welcome.
Well, a tough one at Wisconsin on Sunday. Wisconsin jumps out to a great start, and then you guys battle back, I guess. Just you're first of all just getting going. What were the kind of the issues there getting going? And then you got to like the way that your guys battled back there in the first half.
Yeah, well, that slow start definitely didn't fare well for us as the game carried out. And, in the Big Ten, there's a lot of good coaches, a lot of great players, talented players. And the one thing about it is you have to be ready to start. And unfortunately for us, we got off to that poor start and just never really could get over the hump, even though we had a decent run to try to do so.
Well, I know you guys, if you knew why you would prevent it, but what were some of the issues in getting off to that start?
Well, I think, early on we may have had some miscommunication among some guys defensively that led to a couple of easy looks. And then, unfortunately for us offensively, and hasn't just been this game, we've struggled to get off to good starts offensively in terms of making shots and executing actions. And, you got to credit those teams and those environments with their home crowds as well. But at the same time, it's not anything new. And hopefully we can, you say you want to learn from losses, and you don't lose, you learn. And hopefully for us, we'll begin to learn these lessons that'll build well for us moving forward.
So when you guys start going on the run to cut the lead back in that first half, what started clicking offensively for the guys?
We were able to get out in transition and got some open looks. We had I want to say we had a sequence where we had some defensive kills. We say a kill is 3 stops in a row, and I want to say we had 2 kills in that sequence when we cut it to 3, if I'm not mistaken.
So then, again, another tough one. Every night is tough, but it's been a tough stretch for this group. How are the guys' psyche? How do they bounce back from this? How do they, again, flush it when I know they're frustrated? There's nobody that wants to win more than those guys in that locker room, but how do they work through this and try to get some things rolling again?
Well, I think, it starts with each guy individually, that they have to look at the man in the mirror and ask themselves, what can I do more? And how can I be better in helping the group as a whole, stop this run, this train wreck that we've been on here these past 6 games. And I think that's it first and foremost. And I think the other part is not losing faith in what we do and who we are, and coming to work here tomorrow morning on Tuesday. We meet again to put ourselves in position to get back to winning in PBA first and foremost on Thursday night.
Who do you guys look to? Who are you maybe expecting on the court to step up and try to, get things rolling, to be that leader, to be that guy for you guys?
It's definitely been a question for us. I mean, it should be. We have some guys that are senior leaders, and that should be Bryce Williams. It should be Juwan Gary. Starting with those two particularly. They're the most experienced guys on our team, and when any group is going through trials and tribulations, be it in life or in this case in basketball, you have to lean on your faith and your trust in yourself and obviously in life and in God, and really bear down in that faith and put yourself in position to fight your way through trials and tribulations. And that's where we are, and hopefully those two can begin to do that for us here as we prepare this week for Illinois.
We've seen some different lineups, some different shuffling some guys around. When you guys are looking at that, what are some of the things you're looking for to try to figure out who you guys want to play when in certain situations?
Well, I think, from my experience, anytime you're going through a tough stretch like we're going through, you can't just keep doing the same things and expect a different result. And as we all know, that's the definition of insanity. So you're going to continue to look for different ways to more or less change things or stop the bleeding. And for us, that's what those lineup changes are. And hopefully we'll find that right group here to start us off, and then having the whole group helping us finish off this victory here on Thursday night.
Again, it's kind of one of those things, like if you guys knew, it wouldn't be a problem, but how do you get off to better starts? What are you looking for out of these guys to get things rolling better, especially on the road, when you're playing in those hostile environments?
Well, on the road, it's kind of imposing your will defensively. And, we just have not done that. And, I think that's, a thing that we as a staff and as a group, we're going to have to be able to do a better job, in that next opportunity, which will be obviously on that Northwest road trip coming up the following week. But, being able to impose our will and be Zoom focused on executing the things and having a toughness and physicality in doing so.
And you look at some of the games that have been close games, the Wisconsin one aside, Purdue aside, what's the key to closing some of these closer wins out, the closer games out?
Making the tough plays, doing your job. It's ironic. I was listening to some guys talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots and talking about the coaching philosophy. And one of the things that was a Bill Belichickism was that he was huge on his guys, do your job, being prideful about doing your job. And for us to close out some of those 1-2 possession games, it's about being 100% on blockouts and initiating contact and looking and seeking and finding someone to do that. Being able to go up and knock down free throws down the stretch, being able to play off 2 feet through contact, being first to the ball and closing possessions, 50-50 balls, being 80-20 or 100 balls for us. Those are the toughness things that don't show up in the stat sheet or the box score. That's the difference between closing those type games out.
Ernie Ziegler here with us on our Nebraska Men's Basketball Hour. Well, Coach, no rest for the weary, and these, as always, in this Big Ten Conference, you got Illinois coming to town, ranked in the top 20, but another opportunity to write this thing on at home inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. Tell us about this matchup with Illinois, what that looks like, and what your guys are going to need to do in this one.
Well, Illinois, obviously, they're one of the top teams in our conference and ranked in the top 20 in the country, and they're a very well-coached team by Coach Underwood. They are very good offensively, have multiple guys who can score inside and out. They're the #1 offensive rebounding team in the country, all right? They attack the glass viciously, and, we're going to be tested, our level of toughness in PBA, to protect the vault is going to be tested in that manner.
How important is it, though, is this one? How badly do you guys want this one? Does this team want this one after dropping a couple at home to get this one here on Thursday night?
Well, I'm thinking of adjectives desperately. We have to be extremely hungry, which we are because we haven't had a win in our past 6 games, and there has to be a hunger at a high level and passion to be able to quench our thirst and get full on a W against the Illini.
You guys need Husker Nation again, huh? To show up for you guys and help you guys out in this one, huh?
No doubt about it. And Husker Nation has been, huge in that atmosphere, and we just definitely needed to be a duplicate and even enhanced here on Thursday night.
Coach, thank you so much for stopping by and being with us here on our Nebraska Men's Basketball Hour.
No problem. Welcome. You're more than welcome. Thanks, Jessica.
And Ernie Ziegler here with us here on our Husker Men's Basketball Show. Got to step aside for a break. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Director of Strength and Conditioning for Nebraska Men's Basketball, Kurt Joseph. So keep it here on the show. And Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Hi, I'm Tom Osborne, former football coach and co-founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program.
And I'm Des Moines Adams, Husker Black Shirt and CEO of Teammates Mentoring.
We are recruiting Teammates mentors and need caring adults to be in the lives of our students.
Meeting with a student once a week at the school can make a positive impact in their life and have a ripple effect in our communities.
Please join our team.
Go to teammates.org today.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. Welcome back to our Nebraska Men's Basketball Hour. I'm Jessica Coody, and excited to be joined by the Director of Men's Basketball Strength and Conditioning, Kurt Joseph, in his 4th season with the Huskers. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a tough stretch for the guys right now. Just, physically overall, how are they holding up body-wise, all that kind of stuff?
I think everybody is in a very, very good space. We do very specific tests for very specific things, and people have either improved or stayed the same, and those are the type of metrics you want to see throughout the season. So.
How do you how has that, I guess, grown for you in learning all the different ways that you can track guys and just what you can do with them, how hard you can push them? What's been the evolution, I guess, for that with you and all the different resources that are provided now?
Well, I think the more resources you get, the easier it is to, I don't know if you heard this statement before, paralysis through analysis. Mm-hmm. You see all these like nice, cute gizmos and new tech, but the best practitioners understand the importance of simplicity and understanding consistency in what you track. So we initiate all of the testing over the summer. We get the kids habituated to using it and understanding that this is what we're working for. That filters into the program, and then you just retest every 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is. For us specifically, we have a DALO system, which is a postural and stability control system that tells us ankle rocking error and stability in the center of mass. So basically how your core helps your ankle stabilize your entire body on one leg. We've been able to track that. We test Fusionetics, which tells us their overall movement efficiency in accordance to specific tests, like a single leg squat, a push-up, a range of motion test. That becomes an aggregate number or a total number, which tells us what their overall range of motion is and what certain parts of their bodies are overworking themselves and how we can decrease the chances of non-contact injuries specifically. Because you can't really stop contact-based injuries. Right. That's something you can't control. But non-contact, you can control it as much as you can. So
staying healthy and making sure that the guys are able to navigate this grueling Big Ten season, it's a year-long process, right? Yeah. I mean, it is something that requires a lot of different steps, right, to be able to maintain your body and make sure that you are healthy from day to day. Absolutely. I mean, everybody has their own philosophy, every strength coach I'm talking about specifically, but
that goes in conjunction with the coach's philosophy as well. The type of team we have, we push hard work, we push holistic performance. So we test based on a multitude of things. But more importantly, and what really drives a program are the type of players you have, right? You can have tests from A to Z. If you don't have players that buy into what you're doing, it doesn't necessarily matter. So.
Visiting with Kurt Joseph, the director of strength and conditioning for Nebraska men's basketball. What kind of challenges does, you guys are about to go on that West Coast swing that all these Big Ten teams are now doing with the addition of the teams to the conference. How do you guys manage that and navigate that and making sure that you're doing what needs to be done for the bodies when you're on this type of road trip?
Okay, so that answer is multifaceted. In accordance with our training philosophy, we want to fluctuate load as much as we can. That way the players are experiencing high-intensity practices, moderate-based intensity practices, and light and short intensity practices. You fluctuate that in accordance with the weight room as well, so you keep the high days high and the low days low. If it's a high day on the court, you want to be high in the weight room. If it's a low day on the court, you want to be low in the weight room. If you do the opposite, then they'll never recover. So the first thing is getting the players to understand that. So even on high days, we do want them coming back to shoot, et cetera, as long as they do some form of recovery, whether it be some type of passive recovery, cold tub, your contrast bathing, which is hot tub and cold tub. You have Normatec. You have all of these different technologies that help increase blood flow and reduce inflammation or muscle soreness. So that's number one. Going into a West Coast trip, if they've been doing that over the course of 3 to 6 months, they understand how to take care of themselves away from what we tell them, right? Because again, it has to be player driven as well. They need to have practice some autonomy and practice some professionalism in doing that. So that's number one. Number two, we want to manage recovery twice as much as we practice and play, because now we're going back 2 hours. So coming back to the central time zone will be a little bit difficult, but going back is not going to be that hard. When we get off the flight, we like to do a post-flight flush where it's foam rolling, stretching, and a yin restore or some form of like a 15 to 20 minute yoga flow to just get their blood flowing. You travel, you tend to get tight after a while. Yeah. And so picture a 7-footer on a plane for X amount of hours, right? His back might be tight, his hips, his calves, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to work on that. And then you want to manage recovery post-game with nutrition. Again, with passive recovery, like we'll have tubs that we have, inflatable tubs that we'll bring on the road to get the high guys in the tubs as fast as they possibly can post-game. And then you manage that with the most important one, which is sleep. If they don't sleep at night, then it doesn't matter how much omega-3 you get in salmon or avocado or whatever the heck you're going to eat, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be recovered. So if you combine all of those practices, that is the best practice. And that's what I was trying to say when it's multifaceted, right?
So, and when you don't have those kinds of resources, the same kind of resources that you have at home, how do you guys work with that and make sure that you have everything you need on the road and way far away from home that you have here at home?
So what we do on the road is as close as possible to what we do at home. We have been blessed to be able to bring a lot of these modalities with us on the road. But say you don't have a cold tub, and say you don't have the access to a catapult system that tells you your load post-game. You can track session minutes. You can take RPE, which is the player's idea of how hard the game was for them, how intense it was. Out of 10, this is out of a Likert scale. You say, hey, coach, this felt like an 8. Then you want to foam roll them and stretch them. But say you don't have a foam roller. The best thing you can do is get some ice from the opposing team, stretch them, and then you try to get the best meal possible. You tell them how to get their macros back in, mix in with their micros, and then sleep. simplicity is an important key to everything. So without those modalities, it is possible. Is it ideal? No, that's why the modalities were made in the first place. But if you don't have it, those are some of the specific things that I look at the most. Sleep. I look at what are you doing right after the game, and how you eat. And that's pretty much it.
Wow, fascinating. You know, you also do a lot of things outside of, people think strength and conditioning, they think you're in the weight room and you're running, but you have added some different elements with this group specifically. It seems like every time I'm after practice, I go down there, it's yoga or it's meditation. Tell us about that and why that's been important elements to add for this group, and just, I guess, the overall process of what you want to bring with those kinds of things.
Well, for those people that don't necessarily know, I always approached my performance philosophy as holistic in nature. So prior to accepting the job here at University of Nebraska, I wanted to be prepared as possible. And I said, I think it would be really cool to be certified as a yoga instructor and a mindfulness-based instructor as well. As you know, mindfulness is just present moment awareness. It's being as honest as you possibly can with your situation. It's honoring your emotions, but it's also not holding on to those emotions. The mental aspect of our game is the majority of our game. And we have a staff member, athletic psychologist, Dr. Heather, who we put on educational seminars to teach them what mindfulness is over the summer. That way, they're empowered by how to implement mindfulness away from the court. Because again, I'm going to drive this point all throughout this entire interview. It has to be player driven, because we only have them for an X amount of hours. When they're away from us, that is key as well. How autonomous are they to practice these things away from the facility? So what you see when you come there is a continual of the mindfulness program that we have implemented here. And we try to get 2 meditations per week, and we try to get a microdose version of yoga and a full version of yoga. So we have our yoga instructor, Melanie. She's phenomenal. She does all types of different things in yoga, and we track the data qualitatively as well. So we track how efficacious they are, if they're cramping, if they take on challenges, and we provide this information to the players. We don't hold any information back. We let them know what we do with our data. And with the meditation, that's also within its own progression as well. The types of meditations you do, what you focus on, is either sport specific throughout the season, and over the summer it was more holistic. So for example, we did a lot of meta meditation, which is wishing well for yourself, wishing well for other people. Now we're doing a lot of different types of breath work to help with anxiety, help with resilience, and it has been helping them. A lot of players have said that they felt calmer under stressful situations and getting them to be better athletes overall.
Great stuff. Why did you get to this point where you realized it was all these different things were important to what you bring to a basketball team, and how they approach being ready to play on the court for however long they're on the court?
So I played basketball throughout my entire life. For LIU Brooklyn, I was a walk-on. So I realized that none of these things were being practiced. And when I practiced it myself, when I was playing, I noticed the difference in my own, the way I approached the game, how I dealt with anxiety or high stressful situations. And it's not only made me a better person holistically with how I deal with challenges outside or away from the court, but it's helped me on the court itself. So I wanted to provide the same form of education, because my number one goal is to help them become better humans overall. I know basketball is the most important thing, quote unquote. I'm being extremely sarcastic right now. But you got to make sure that when they leave the university or wherever they leave, that they're not only a better athlete, but they're a better and more well-equipped human being. So when they start their life, they know what to do in stressful situations. And that information is transferred from one person to the next. So if I transfer this information to them, they'll transfer it to someone else. And it should be a domino effect in a perfect world, which we know it's not perfect. So.
But it's obviously working because a lot of those guys, too, that leave the program want to come back and work with you and do your processes when they have the chance to come back. What does that mean to you to have some of those guys that, hey, they want to come back when they have the opportunity, you're the guy that they want to work with? I
mean, it's been phenomenal. I mean, Bryce comes back all the time, and Casey and Emmanuel Bondumel and Derek Walker, and, I mean, you name it. It's been... they joke around, they call me Unc as a joke because, sometimes I could get a little preachy, if I'm being honest. But I think they just know I care about them deeply, beyond the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to win. There's not a person here that's as competitive as I am, right? I know we talk about meditation, et cetera, but when you get in between them lines, I want to win. But how do you improve them beyond the game? Because that is such a small part of their overall lives. How do you get them better? How do you get them to become more responsible men in general so that they can lead their own families when they have one, or deal with stressful situations when they will occur, because they are coming? These players come back because they know I'm not going to lie to them. So if they're messing up, I'm going to tell them you're messing up. I'm going to tell them you need to do better, and I'm going to help them do better. So I hold them accountable, but they know the intention is not to disparage them. They know the intention is to just get them better overall. So it's been a phenomenal process to see these guys' growth beyond Husker basketball, but just who they are as people when they come back. So
that's great stuff. Okay, last thing I got for you, you've been working really closely with Rink Mast, and we're looking forward to seeing him back on the court. How's the process going to them? How is he handling just the overall, it's a long process, right? And it can be lonely sometimes, but how is he handling just the rehab process and getting himself back right so that he can make a return to the court?
Well, Rink Mast has been one of the best athletes I've worked with in my career, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on a Husker radio show. I think, I've been blessed to work in multiple teams, from the Knicks as a part-time weight room assistant, the Nets as a strength coach intern, the Timberwolves as an assistant strength coach, the G League, the Iowa Wolves as a head strength. I've been everywhere, and there isn't a kid that I've met that's as mentally ahead. Like, there's some lessons that I'm almost expecting to teach him, and then he comes around and he'll tell me instead. And I'm just so taken back by his wisdom for his age. I mean, don't get me wrong, in the college sphere, he's considered older. But in the grand scheme of things, he's not even 25. Like, he's a young man. So he's been dealing with this process like any player that wants to play. It's frustrating, but he trusts the process, and he's been able to drastically improve. The asymmetries between his left and right leg are lower than 0.05%. I mean, he's been extremely diligent in taking care of his body away from our program. I mean, we train close to 2.5 hours, pretty much 5 to 6 times a day. I mean, 5 to 6 times a week. Sorry, that would be insane. 5 to 6 times a week. But he's also doing rehab as well with our director of sport Olympic rehab, Rob Rodriguez, who's been doing a phenomenal job. Over the summer, it started with our athletic trainer, Andrew McCabe. And to speak to the loneliness you talked about, I had a buddy system where I would work out with him. So I'm going through the pain with him just so he can know that he's not alone. And now that the season is, I can't work out with him anymore because I have my job I need to do. But he's been so autonomous. I don't even necessarily have to talk to him. He just shows up early, 30, 45 minutes early. He warms up. He's like a quintessential pro. Like, he has been phenomenal, and I truly mean that. He's been one of the brightest spots of this entire season. He's not even playing.
Great stuff there. Thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate your time, and I could keep chatting with you, but we got to get to another commercial break. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
And that is Kurt Joseph, the Director of Strength and Conditioning for Nebraska men's basketball. Dorothy Lynch, home style and light and lean dressing, endless flavorabilities. We're back with more coming up after this.
In the game of life, we all face tough moments. Sometimes it feels like we're up against a formidable defense with no way through. Call a timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the final whistle. Reach out, speak up, and let's tackle this together. Because in Nebraska, we're more than a team. We're family. Remember, in times of need, call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Attention, Husker Nation. Are you ready to power up your game? Sap Brothers high-quality off-road red diesel is the fuel that powers your equipment. As official sponsors of the Huskers, we're here with a winning offer with the Sap Brothers Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. Contract your upcoming fuel needs by February 1st and enter to win 1,000 free gallons of our off-road red diesel to keep your engine roaring and equipment running strong. Sap Brothers fuels Husker Nation. Visit sapbros.net/fuel giveaway for more info.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The Nebraska Men's Basketball Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, where people don't have your money has people. Welcome back. I'm Jessica Coody. I had a chance recently to sit down and have a conversation with Sam Hoiberg. What a story his has been. He's a walk-on. He has gets thrown into a role that didn't really expect, but then has just gone to work and continues to grow his game and seems to provide some big-time plays every single time out there. He's grown on the offensive end, but he's also become a Husker fan favorite. It's clear the cheers that he gets when he makes some of the plays that he makes, some of those hustle plays. So had a chance recently to sit down with him and talk to him about this season for him as a Husker. Okay, so you go into this season, and after your role continues to build. What was your goal going into this year, and what you wanted to do differently this season?
I think last year I thought I played well, had a good season, but I felt offensively I kind of suppressed my role a little bit and thought I could do more, and just shoot the ball better was one of my biggest things. I didn't shoot it great last year from 3, and I'm shooting it better now, so that feels good. I work really hard on my shot. I've always felt like I was a shooter, so being able to shoot at a higher percentage has been something that is rewarding, and I want to keep looking to hunt for shots and keep making them at a high percentage.
You've knocked down some big threes in some big moments. What's the confidence level right now when you are letting it fly in some of those moments?
Yeah, it's much higher than I would say last year, especially. I've been healthier, so I've been able to get a lot more extra work on, like, just getting shots up after practice, outside of practice. So my confidence level is a pretty good level right now, and I'm just still looking to build on it and just keep getting better to where I know I can be.
How do you balance that and wanting to be more aggressive on the offensive end but still doing your role on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, defense is obviously something I take a ton of pride in, so I don't think that'll ever be something that will not come with my role, and I want to always be that defensive dog and just make it hard on the other team. And then at the other end, it's just be a little more confident, look for more opportunities, and just be in the right spots, and everything will come to me.
We've talked to you a lot about being that defensive stopper. You know, as you continue to, you always want to improve, right? What are some of the areas that you've been able to be so successful in that end, but how do you keep growing and keep getting better in that regard?
Yeah, I think you just kind of learn as you keep playing defense, being quick laterally and, like, working on my reaction time with the blaze pod that we do with Kurt before games. Like, doing some of that stuff has helped with just reaction time and being able to react to players that are really quick, stay in front of them. But I think a lot of it you learn how to guard and, like, just the best ways to guard different types of players. And I've just tried to every single game and just take what guarding guys has made me prepared for, like, all sorts of situations. So I just kind of take from what I've learned and apply it to the next game.
Do you study a lot of film and tendencies on guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge thing with guarding one of the better players on the other team is you got to know what they want to do. You got to know if they're a step back guy, if they're a drive right guy, a drive left guy, and you got to force them into situations where they're uncomfortable. And yeah, just watching and learning the tendencies has been really helpful for me, and I just try to make it tough on them in the game.
So throughout your course of your career that you've been here as a Husker, we've heard several guys say how much they hated being guarded by you in practice. Who, for you, was the toughest person to guard?
That's a tough one because there's been a lot of really good players here, obviously.
Who gave you absolute fits?
I mean, my pride says no one, but Casey was always tough to chase around screens. I mean, he would pump fake you and get you up in the air to where if you were late, he's going to sting you. But I was way faster than Casey, so I could stay with him. Alonzo Verge was actually really good. Yeah. Really tough to guard. He's quick and he could pass. He was one of the people that I think kind of helped me figure out that I was a good defender because I was, as with the season went on, I was starting to guard him better in practice. I was like, okay, I can guard a really good one-on-one player really well right now.
Nate Linzer's been so complimentary. You, Juwan Gary, are basically the defensive captains have been for the last couple of seasons. How did that develop, that role that you're that guy that he wants to go do to help make sure that what's being done on the defensive end, that it goes through you and Juwan?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look back at that first year I got in the rotation. Juwan was actually hurt when I got in the rotation, but he was obviously one of the guys that earned a black shirt that season. And then when I came in, that was kind of my role. Him and Eman were both hurt, so they needed someone to step up on the defensive end, and I got some big steals at the end of games, and people started noticing my defense. And then as that role kind of built last year, I think I kind of cemented myself as a good defender and on ball more so. And I think this year just kind of taking off as trying to be one of the defensive leaders.
You obviously have a huge role. You're out there a lot of times in the biggest moments, but you also provide some huge plays. No matter what the minutes are, it seems like you are coming up with, whether it be a rebound or a steal or a big three. How are you able to do that when when this team needs a big play, you are able to deliver?
I mean, I just play my game, and I don't necessarily look to make a big splash. I just take opportunity when I see it, and I think the crowd really appreciates that here, and I think that kind of makes the moments maybe seem a little bigger than they are as opposed to just normal basketball play, but the crowd loves when I make a hustle play. I've had some big ones like the steals at the end of games, but I think just the crowd feeding off the energy I bring has helped kind of build that sort of idea that I make timely plays like that, and I think we just feed off the crowd's energy after we get going.
I was going to ask you about that. I can't tell you how many times people tell me when they're talking about their favorite players on this team, your name comes up. What does that mean to you as, Dad as a head coach aside, that you have been able to establish a role that is so appreciated by this fan base?
It means a lot. I mean, as a former walk-on and someone who never thought I'd have the opportunity to play here, it still doesn't feel real at times that I'm in this role, and I think I tend to overthink it at times, like, well, I'm just playing because I got the opportunity and we started winning, and I think it's lucky sometimes, but I've worked so hard, and the fans appreciating me for what I do, it just makes me, super appreciative of them, and I feed off their energy all the time, and they've been super helpful for me in this journey, and they really just kind of make everything I do, like all that hard work, just feel like it's paid off when I see people cheering for me so much, and saying that I'm their favorite player, that type of stuff is just so cool to hear. When I came here, I had absolutely zero intention of that actually becoming a real thing, and it has.
When they react the way that they do and you make those big, how much does that fuel you, too?
Yeah, I think everyone builds off the energy like that, and it's just kind of a natural thing. But it makes you want to go do another play like that, get another defensive stop, and just keep making hustle plays that help win games, and that's my whole idea of playing, is just do anything it takes to win. So it really helps, I think, the team in general, just building off the crowd's energy, making just one extra hustle play to help us get a 50-50 ball and win the game.
I think I've asked you this before, but where does that come from, the understanding of it's not always about making big threes. It can be some of those little plays that don't always show up in the stat sheet that has become such a big part of your game?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I thought about from my first few years here was, we weren't winning games my redshirt year. It was a really rough year and for everyone, and it was mentally draining just to see us lose games like that. And we're still going through a stretch like that right now, unfortunately, but we're going to get that turned around. But I think just kind of seeing how it felt to lose games and long stretches, you just get tired of it. And I wanted to figure out a way I could help change that, and that was just by making little winning plays that would have a good effect on the game. And I think people started to see how much of a big impact it can have just making little plays like that, and just, diving on the floor, getting a loose ball that was a 50-50 ball, and just getting the possession back is such an important thing at times, and it can really change the course of a game. And I think I've kind of proved that the past few years. We've won a lot more games, and I just feel super proud of being able to help us win games.
Love that. Okay, so you talked about this. How do you guys, get the ship back on the right track? And you can't win it all, get it all back in one game, but what's the approach for this team as you guys need to start winning some games, and the margin of error has become a lot smaller for you guys?
Yeah, I think now we just had to take it one game at a time. That's what we talked about at practice this morning. We took off the standings on our board, and it's just Wisconsin versus Nebraska on the board. So we're just taking it one game at a time. We're not worrying about our standings or metrics. I think we sometimes get too caught up in that. We're like, we're in such a good spot, and then maybe lose our edge a little bit. Right now we're playing every game like it's a championship game, and we just want to take it one game at a time, go 1-0 the next game. That's our goal right now.
Great stuff. All right, before we let you get out of here, your dad sits in that microphone, and I asked him, you guys come up from time to time, and we talk some golf, and he did not say you were the best golfer in the family. I'll let you defend yourself here.
I don't play the most anymore. It could be any day. We played this summer plenty of times. I won plenty of times. I lost plenty of times. But I didn't have the best peak. I'd say that goes to Jack or Charlie. I was getting more into basketball by the end of high school, and that was kind of when they peaked in their golf careers. As much as I hate to admit it, My peak wasn't as good, but right now it could be any of us any day. And we're beating Dad.
That's what he said. He at least said he's nowhere close to the best, but I think he gave the nod to Charlie.
Charlie's probably the best right now, but he's got the least on his plate. So
give you some time to get back out there.
Exactly.
And you'll be right there. Yeah. All right, great stuff. Thank you for being here with us.
Yep, thank you.
If that doesn't speak to his competitiveness, I don't know what does. But I knew that would fire him up. And he was still, even once we got done recording, he was still talking about how if he had the time, he would catch Charlie. But I love sitting down with Sam. What a great story, and just a huge role that he has really worked for this Nebraska men's basketball team. All right, got to get to another break. But when we come back, we're back to wrap up our Nebraska men's basketball hour.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Husker fans, let's call it timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Husker Extra is the best website and mobile app for everything Husker sports from the experts at the Omaha World Herald and Lincoln Journal-Star. Go to huskerextra.com or search your app store today. Just got about a minute left here on our Nebraska Men's Basketball Hour. Appreciate all the guests helping us out to here tonight with the scheduling and all that. We had these schedules put in place well before the start of the season, and we knew that this is going to be a show. We were going to have multiple guests, and so appreciate Kurt Joseph is fascinating. I talked to him so many times, even just off air. He just, what a great story, and he does so much for this team just outside of just the strength and conditioning. He's just a great mentor, so really appreciate him and getting his perspective, and Ernie Ziegler and Sam Hoiberg for helping us out here tonight. Big win coming up on Thursday night, back at home. Got to get back to the winning ways. We've said that here a lot over this stretch, but they've got to find a way to get this thing rolling and get this win. Number 18, Illinois, inside Pinnacle Bank Arena, 7:30 tip. So a little bit earlier than that 8 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air at the pregame show starting at 6:30, and then another tough one on the road at Oregon. Oregon ranked 16 on Sunday. So this is not it doesn't get any easier. No rest for the weary, but they've got to find a way to get it done. Look, when they're playing their best, they've competed with some of the best teams in the country. We've seen it. They've just got to figure out to get it going again. All right, that wraps up hour number one. Coming up, hour number two of Sports Nightly.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska. Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Hey there, Jacob Schrantz with you for our Sports Ticker, brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. The Husker basketball program had a tough day on Sunday as the men's squad got beat 83-55 in Madison by the Wisconsin Badgers, followed by the women's team's loss at home to the number 12-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. It was Coach Amy Williams and the Nebraska women's basketball team's first loss inside PBA in nearly a year as the 15-game home winning streak crumbled at the hands of a 20-point outburst from Buckeye senior Taylor Theory. On the men's side of things, 11 points by Bryce Williams was not quite enough to outdo 17 made threes by the Badgers. Nebraska wrestling had a bit of a better weekend with a dominant road duel on Sunday. 35-point victory was the best of the season for the Big Red, and they improved to 8-2 on the year by taking down Michigan State 38-3. The Huskers will return home this Friday to match up with Wisconsin at 8 p.m. Central Time. Husker Athletics announced today that 2020 Olympic gold medalist Jordan Larson will be leaving her assistant coaching position with the Nebraska volleyball program. In the 2 years on the sidelines for the Big Red, Nebraska saw only 5 combined losses and 2 trips to the Final Four of the NCAA Women's College Volleyball postseason tournament. Looking around the conference in men's basketball, the Iowa Hawkeyes are in the early stages of a game taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes in Columbus. Also coming up in the nightcap, UCLA and USC will meet in men's basketball as the Trojans look to take care of Mick Cronin's Bruins squad at the Galen Center. Call a timeout if you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Let's take it now to Hour 2 of Sports Nightly, coming right up on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Andrew playing like a man possessed here. Going over 1,000 in his career early on in this game, and the give is to him, and the dunk, and Nebraska's tied the game at 24, and Morgan's got a dozen. A minute 53 to go. Williams on the elbow. Buchton left side. Eulis extra pass. Hoiberg puts it up. Got it! Sammy, my boy! Sammy, my boy, cuts this lead down to 2 points.
Ringdahl, a couple of ball fakes, bounces into Prince at half court. And Prince is going to make a run on a falter. Steps back for 3 to tie the game. You betcha! Biggest shot of that freshman's young career. Timeout. We're tied at 75. Britt Prince is 19. She steps back and sticks a three-pointer. Her 5th of the night. Hake going to drive into the lane. Stops. Pops. 9-footer front rim. Gets her own rebound. Backs it out. Prince, right elbow. Short. Pull-up jumper. Rolls. No. Markowski fights for it. Gets it out to Petrie. 3-ball on the left wing. You betcha! 4 chances at the basket, and Petrie knocks down a Central Valley 8.
Now that's old school Husker outwork you basketball.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. Jessica Coody here with Nick Hanley tonight. And, man, Jake, shout out Jake on the ticker. He hadn't been here in a while, but is just like an old season pro. He remembered exactly how to do the ticker. Great job, and great to have Jake back in here in studio with us. And Nick, great to have you back with us as well. We were talking for a little bit on Friday before you had to run and do some Omaha hockey, and the guys in the chat somehow found your golf handicap. They're stalking your golf game, and they're calling you a sandbagger. I just want to start off the show with giving you an opportunity to defend yourself and some of the scores that they were able to dig up on you.
First of all, I love this. I love that we have a passionate chat community that is like, you know what? If this guy is going to earn his stripes on Sports Nightly, we got to see, what kind of chops he has on the golf course, which, as a lot of people who have played golf with me know, that there are times that it just ain't there. And I think that the question was, or I think you had brought this up, that on at least 2 occasions that I struggled to get inside 100. Like, I did not break 100.
I didn't bring that up.
Oh, I thought you said, hey, did you really shoot a 102?
Oh, well, yes, I did. I thought you meant on the air. No, I did text you that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's what the guys were saying. They couldn't believe it. So.
It's true. I was playing in a golf course in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I take that back. It was in, oh my gosh, now I'm totally blanking. Yeah, it was in Grand Rapids, called the Mines. And, oh man, it was tight as far as some of those fairways, and I was an OB machine that day. So, yeah, that was an avalanche of strokes. And then so every May, I go out to Lake Rathbun. It's in just a kind of a small little community outside of Des Moines, Iowa, and play in a buddy's golf trip that we do every year. And we do a Thursday Ryder Cup type thing where we play 36 holes, and then on Saturday we do a Masters where it's 27 holes. But when we arrive on Wednesday, it's really all you can golf. And we have some side bets going on for the practice round. Well, also in the practice round, we tend to have a little fun. We haven't seen a lot of these people. A lot of the folks we're getting together for the first time every year, so you're catching up, and you might have a cocktail or two. And so it was really windy that day too. I'm making a lot of excuses, but yeah, I'm a roller coaster when it comes to golf. I can be where I'm a month or two feeling really good, and then all of a sudden I have one day where I'm like, what am I doing? Have I ever golfed in my life? So, yeah. But I appreciate people looking it up. It's great. I love the passion.
And that's golf for you. I mean, you have a bad day or maybe 3 bad days, but then you have that one good day that keeps you coming back. So I feel your pain there. So I think a lot of people do. It's one of those games. 402-413-2400 is that number if you want to text or call and be a part of the show. Crypto King in the chat also wants to know who would win between us in a game of horse. We don't even need to debate that. I would win in a game of horse. He'd probably beat me on the golf course, but I'm beating him in the basketball gym. There's hands down, no question.
Oh, so is your game? Is it the long range jumper?
Yes. Yep.
Because I got some height on you. If I had to back into the block there, I might. We're
talking horse.
I was never allowed to shoot outside of the elbow though.
Horse.
I was a varsity letterman, but horse. Yeah, see, you're probably going to beat me because I'm assuming your 3-point percentage was probably pretty decent.
It was very decent. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sunk. Yep. I'd play. I'd be a good sport about it, but yeah, I would take my whooping.
Okay, so there you go, yeah. Crypto. Jim in Columbus also in the chat had texted in during last hour that Sam is one of his favorite players. He always gives the team a spark when he's in the game. Yeah, he makes those hustle plays that I know is very appreciated by this Nebraska men's basketball game. But man, there was probably no hustle play that was going to get this team back in it after Wisconsin starts running away with it on Sunday. They just got off to a bad start. They fought back and cut it to 2, and then Wisconsin then goes on another big run, and Nebraska can never figure it out. I was at the women's game, and so I didn't see the entire game and was checking in on it when I could, but just a tough one. I think you and I were talking before we went on the air. You knew it was going to be a tough order going there, and I got to imagine Wisconsin had that game here in their mind too, a little bit like Purdue. I think probably wanted to hand it to the Huskers going there, but I just did not expect it to be like that, to where it wasn't really close at the end.
I'm with you, and that was probably the most discouraging part of it is as Nebraska got down early by 17 and then they chip away, they come right back, and all of a sudden it's a one-possession game, and you're thinking, okay, this is a little bit more like it. If they could just get over the hump here in this moment, after that 19-2 run that Wisconsin had to open up the game, you're thinking, oh, that would be excellent. Maybe that's exactly what they need to have some early adversity and then all of a sudden overcome it. And then just all of a sudden, like a spark, you get that confidence back. And there were things that I liked about what they were trying to do yesterday. And getting Andrew Morgan in there and getting his first start, I thought was, you and I talked about that last week, of trying to be able to spark some instant offense. But some of the things that have plagued this team before, and in this streak now, 6 games that they have just not been able to either put it all together, and now between Wisconsin and then that Purdue game have suffered some pretty large blowouts too. There's a litany of things that you and I have discussed during this streak as well. Whether it's the turnovers, whether it's the effort on the offensive glass as well. Things like that where they did a better job when it came to keeping certain guys off the boards and being able to limit those things. I like the fact that they didn't provide a lot of second chance opportunities, but that you have turnovers that were taking place. We talked about certain players, and this isn't to put the weight of the world on them, but there are certain guys in this lineup that if they are not active early on and they're not seeing shots fall, it's a tough road to hoe for this basketball team. And obviously, Juwan Gary had another tough one where shots were not falling for him. So, whether it's the offense, it's almost like when you plug one hole in the boat and you think, okay, we got that one solved, and then all of a sudden there's water in another hole, and then you're constantly trying to find those little pieces that you're just trying to plug that. And unfortunately, that hasn't happened. So it just seems like in the last 3 games, and maybe it's just the way that I've seen it, there's one thing that maybe was plaguing them going in, and they fixed that. But then all of a sudden, there's something else that is working against them, and then they're going to try to address that, and then some of those old things come up too. It's a very tough place to be right now if you're Nebraska hoops, because I know Fred had said this last week after the loss to Maryland of these guys not, and even the coaching staff too, not trying to overthink things, not trying to get too panicky and having to stay together. But Jessica, you know that. I mean, being an athlete yourself, it's so easy as an individual to get in your own head and ask yourself if you personally are doing what you should be doing, and then you start to maybe question the things that you're doing and your effort level or your effectiveness, and then you really kind of get into it. Then all of a sudden it becomes mental as well. And that's my biggest fear right now. If it's a little bit more on the mental side than it is on the physical side right now, even though there are things physically that this team has really fallen short of here in the 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I was talking to Seamus, the sports and information director today. We were, diving into some numbers, and obviously they got couple tough ones ahead, and every game in the Big Ten is tough, and some of the teams that are on the schedule are right there outside of the top 25, so it's not like it's going to get easier, and you feel like you dropped some games that you should have won, but I think we've seen it when this team is playing well, they can compete with some of these teams, and so it's just, I guess that's where it's frustrating, and probably it's more, and I'm not saying anything that they're not addressing in the locker room, and they're the most frustrated of anything because they know what they have, but it's just now you're in this snowball and you got to figure out a way to get out of the snowball. But they have, this team is probably more talented than even the team that they had last year, and they have more size, and they have the potential to be better defensively. We've seen it. They just, now that things are getting out of control a little bit, it's like you just said, they're kind of getting out of what they're doing and not doing their jobs, and you got to look at yourself in the mirror and just get back to what works. And they still can. There's still time. It's going to be a tough task ahead, but you just got to figure out a way to get back in the win column, get some confidence, and hopefully they can do that on Thursday. But it's not going to be easy with Illinois coming to town.
It really isn't. But it sounds so simple when we talk about this, but for Nebraska especially, and for any team that's going through these struggles, and there's a lot of college basketball teams, especially in very deep conferences like the Big Ten, that will find themselves off the tracks, and that's where Nebraska is right now. But it's as simple as if they can just experience a win, whether it's Illinois, which obviously would be a huge boost given how good Illinois is, or anybody at home. This team, again, this is Captain Obvious talk right here, but they just need a win.
We've said that before with a different sport.
Exactly. And thank goodness Wisconsin came around and it happened for football. You just need that moment. However it happens, it could be the ugliest, sloppiest game where there are still some issues that have been affecting this team, but you're somehow able to get it across the finish line. You're somehow able to just out-grit, out-tough those 50-50 opportunities that Fred always talks about. They're able to get more of those. Little things like that being the difference where this team can just experience victory, be able to just take that big, deep breath and sigh of relief. We saw it a little bit with this team in years past where if they were on a little bit of a streak, all of a sudden they got that, just the 40 minutes of successful basketball, however it looked, because the scoreboard said they were successful at the end, And then you can roll a little bit with that because you're seeing some of those winning ways. You're seeing some of those things that you were able to do that were the difference. Maybe you're not shooting over 50% from the field, but you're out rebounding. You're limiting second opportunities. You're valuing the basketball. You're not giving second and third possessions away. And all of those things are taking place. Whatever it is, the little things. And I know in a game like that yesterday where you look at the scoreboard, you're like, that's a lot more than little things. No, it's the little things, because look at when Nebraska was down by 2 in that game. Then all of a sudden, you saw an extra opportunity for Wisconsin. Then they extend a possession. Then they get a 3 out of it. Then they get a couple of run-out transition points because of sloppy ball handling. Little things like that all of a sudden ballooned Wisconsin's lead again when Nebraska was right there at the end. Right there after that 17-point deficit that they had to try to overcome. Well,
I do want to quickly talk women's hoops before we get to break, and then we're going to talk some football. But it was packed PBA game. I was able to go, and it was a great atmosphere. The crowd was incredible. It was loud. They showed up, Husker Nation, when you're answered, they always answer the call, right? And so what a great crowd on hand. Number 12, Ohio State. We talked a lot about it. We had Coatney on the show. It was that's a tough team, potentially a Final Four caliber type team. They press, they're physical. It's it's tough to play that kind of team and the way that they pick up defensively. But I thought the Huskers did really well against the press, especially the freshman Britt Prince. It looked like they followed the game plan. She looked really good on the defensive end, and they were right there and played really well. But for as close as that game was, I thought still, which I think is pretty positive, that they were not at their best, but we're still right there with Ohio State. And just maybe a couple more threes made. This is a team that's going to rely on the three-point line. They're going to shoot threes, and I think a couple more made threes. Maybe this thing goes the other way, but we heard Coatney saying that too, and I think we've seen it, that when this team is making threes, they can compete with anybody in the country. They were making them in the first half. Went a little cold in the second half, and I think that's what ultimately allowed Ohio State to get back in it and then ultimately take the win. But Nick, this is a young team that every time they get out on the court, they're learning, they're growing. I mean, you're looking out there, and there's 3 freshmen on the floor at times and sophomores. And, Alexis played well yesterday, but this is a team that I feel like every time they're out on the court, they are growing and getting better. They play well together. It's a fun group to watch. And I think they're going to continue to make some noise here. It dropped a tough one on Sunday, and there's no moral victories for this group, but I think we still saw a lot of positives in the loss.
I think it's an interesting observation on your part about the fact of the level that they played at yesterday, and maybe, as Amy Williams would even say, not their best game all around, that they're right there, because it's hard not to think about this team if you don't have the Natalie Potts injury, if you don't have the Allison Widener injury, if this team is at full strength, where you do have a little bit more of that veteran presence, but also those younger players that are chipping in. I wonder about this team, if going through these lumps when it does come to just the disastrous news when it came to those 2 horrible injuries on 2 players that meant so much to this team, but also those young players being able to take on bigger roles and being able to maybe adjust and alternate some of those roles night in and night out, that once you get into the end of February, because I always feel, whether we're talking men's basketball or women's basketball, if you're going to be a legitimate postseason team, or the type of team that you're going to be if you're on that cusp of being an NCAA tournament team, you start taking on that look of mid to late February, before maybe a week or 2 before you get into conference tournament play, that if we start to see a lot of those young players that have taken on bigger roles because of depth and everything with this roster, that if you don't start seeing this team really click and start having that consistency, because as we always know, those young players, whether we're talking about freshmen, I mean, Britt Prince is not like many freshmen, but when you have freshmen and even some sophomores that are extending their roles or expanding their roles, that they all feel like they are a class older, that they have a little bit more of that experience. And I would start to be very curious what this team looks like in mid-February as they get a little bit closer to conference tournament play.
I think that's what's exciting is, they've been dealt some tough blows, but yet they are embracing their roles. They want to do it for each other. And some of these young players that don't know anything other than winning, because that's what they did in high school, are like, no, I mean, we're stepping in. We're going to take on our role, and we're going to do our part. And I think that's what's so exciting about this group is that they are just continuing to get better as they figure out their roles and what they need to do to fill those big voids that they've had in the losses and the injuries. And they haven't played their best basketball game. They've had some flashes of it. They've had some great stretches, and they've played some good games, but I still don't think we've even seen their best. And I think that's what, if they continue to grow, even bouncing back from this loss, they talk a lot about that response. Got one on the road, or got one on the road at Purdue on Thursday that hopefully is a winnable game on the road. You talk about protecting the home court, stilling some on the road. I think this is one that they absolutely could still on the road, so we'll see. But if they can get back in the win column, and I'm so excited about this young group, and I just continue to be impressed with the job that Amy Williams has done in getting these young players to buy in and step into a role that maybe they didn't expect them to play this year. So, again, tough loss, but I think you saw a lot of positives in that one, and we'll have Amy Williams, by the way, on the show for our Nebraska Women's Basketball Hour tomorrow night in the 6 o'clock hour. We got to get to a break. We went pretty long here in this opening segment, as Nick and I have trended. We've shown that we trend to do here on the show. But we'll get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk NFL playoffs and also some big weekend for Husker football as well in the recruiting front. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of this. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huskers fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Nick Haley. I'm Jessica Coody. On this Monday evening, want to talk some football here. Quite a bit of football stuff going on right now, but your pick was not good with the Bills, but we'll save that for a second. Did want to talk Husker football first. Big weekend. They've got a big visit in, transfer portal guy that's coming in this week, and then they'll have junior weekend this weekend. But boy, adding another potential offensive lineman with experience would be big for this team.
Yeah, I was hopeful that the Shiazah Pete from New Mexico State might go Nebraska's way, but Kentucky gets the win there. So now you're talking about Rocco Spindler coming off of a team that played in a national championship with Notre Dame and having the Zoom meeting with Nebraska and hopefully a campus visit is also following that. I know he also visited Indiana this weekend too. So if you're looking at what Nebraska's already done, and it was a huge win to get Elijah Pritchett. That was massive for Nebraska. If you're able to pull another one out and then still be able, and we've talked about this, I know we'll continue to talk about this too, still be able to manage the quantity of what you're going to bring in, but also, I guess, valuing quality more now because you don't have the limitless number. You got to get to that 105. If you can add another solid, proven offensive lineman with a track record of starts just recently at the Power 4 level, this is such an area for Nebraska that we have always talked about wanting to see them take that next step given what you have behind center and what Dylan Raiola has to work with as far as some weapons that are not only there but also coming in. If you can get that offensive line where it needs to be, both with what they already have on the roster and the addition of some guys that bring in some cachet and bring in quite a bit of stock, you start to get pretty excited about a position where I know a lot of people will say, hey, I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, I know Coach Rule is planning on meeting with the media soon, maybe this weekend, so we will hear some updates, I'm sure, on the program, maybe some coaching staff changes, all of that, just update on the state of the program at this point. There's still been a lot going on over the last few weeks since the bowl game. They've traveled, I know, so a lot of them still on the road recruiting. So we'll hear from Coach Rule coming up. I think it's this weekend. So we'll be able to, find out a little bit more of that news. And we're also, I don't know if I'm allowed, I better not say this yet, but we might have a couple more fun nuggets with Husker football coming up over the next couple of days. We'll be able to announce and pass along to you. But let's talk NFL. Former Husker Cam Jurgens, man, what a performance for him. He's hurt, is not starting. His replacement gets hurt. He comes in, grinds it out, but that's why, I was rooting for the Eagles, and as good as the story was with the Commanders, I am so glad that Cam Jurgens is going to be playing in a Super Bowl coming up here in a couple weeks.
And you're right about the role that he had, too. It's something that I think probably every Nebraska fan that was watching that game, you had to be proud of it because it was that old tough guy mentality that we remember this Nebraska football program always having that reputation for, especially guys on the offensive line. And there was probably nothing more tough than what he endured going into the game, not even knowing if he was going to play, then having to be thrust into action, and then holding his own. And then there was that moment where we're all watching the game wondering if they're ever going to even allow Philadelphia to snap the ball when they're trying to do the brotherly shove. And you have the defender for Washington that leaped not once but twice right over the back of Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens got that was the injury that he was nursing, was kind of a bad back there. And, he is the lowest man squatting down in that particular play, and you got a guy that is climbing all over his back before they could even snap the ball. It was just such a bizarre moment of that game, but seeing Cam Jurgens look up the first time they do it, knowing that they got them to jump off sides, he just had that smirk that he was feeling no pain. He knew they were on the verge of getting to the Super Bowl, but just an absolute tough guy performance by Cam Jurgens, and really one of the more, I think, probably unsung heroes of that Eagles game and that performance that he had yesterday. It probably doesn't get talked about as much as Saquon Barkley did or Jalen Hurts did, but boy, Cam Jurgens, he was every bit of what they needed up there.
He's a guy that likes to have a lot of fun, doesn't take things too seriously, jokes around. He's pretty stoic and doesn't always show his emotions, but he was emotional following this one. He actually did an interview with NFL Network's Stacey Dales that we're going to play for you now, and a very emotional Cam Jurgens following the win.
Cam Jurgens, it was one of the most heralded performances for you to not start this game and come back and play in the second half after Landon went down. I don't know where to start. What does this feel like for you?
I'm just so proud of this team. Just want to say thanks to the trainers, Joe, Tom. It was a long week.
Yeah, I feel your emotions, Cam. What happened this week? We were all shocked by the back injury. When did it pop up for you? How did you work through it?
It's just, it's football, it's violence, so just fighting. And this team's got so much fight. I love it. We're going to win this next one.
Yeah, you are headed to the Super Bowl, but what happened at halftime for you to step in and do what you did after Landon went down? What was said?
I was trying to get ready to go for the game. I knew it wasn't best for the team, and I just knew I was going to have to be ready in case anything happened. And that was my role today. And Landon went down. We ain't here without Landon. Yeah.
When did you know you weren't starting? Did they tell you after your pregame warm-up? I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, it was at the start.
Yeah.
Trying to see how it feels.
And how do you feel now, Cam?
I feel like I'm going to the Super Bowl.
That's perfectly said. Great job, bud.
Thank you.
Just such a great story, too. I mean, it's well documented. Was a tight end. They had to convince him to play on center on the offensive line. And then Jason Kelsey, he's replacing one of the best centers in NFL history. And, just that history there. And Jason was for it. And then he played alongside him. I don't know, just all the things. And now here he is playing for a Super Bowl. I just could not be happier for the kid from Nebraska that is able to do all these things. And now I'm definitely rooting for the Eagles in this one.
I am too, because it has nothing to do with the fact that the damn Chiefs somehow figured out another way to beat Josh Allen. I'm sure we'll get into after that. But the other part about the Cam Jurgens story, and it seems like it was so long ago now. It's a distant memory. Remember, he was one of the first when we saw a couple guys snapping the football. And I'm not talking about special teams this year either. I'm talking about actually just the center quarterback exchange. When Cam was making that transformation, and when you saw his body take on that massive transformation, you could tell he had that ability to just move people out of the way. But then he got the snapping yips, and you wondered when that mental part of the game creeps in, and you could tell there would be times that he looked like he got past it, and then it would creep up again, and then there would be some even snaps that were handled. They would be a little bit wobbly. So he overcame that as well. And you're right. Going into the league, the situation that he came into was fantastic for Cam Jurgens, someone who's still learning the position, who has all of that natural ability once they got him into that body type, had all the natural ability in the world to be so good at his craft. But then to have a Jason Kelsey that you get to learn under, you get to take under his wing, and take him through not only the on-the-field part of the NFL, but the off-the-field part of the NFL too, to be as well-adjusted as he is. I don't think what he did yesterday is any surprise to a lot of people who followed that entire process of him getting to where he is.
So the Eagles will be taking on the Chiefs. The Chiefs back again for another Super Bowl. Your Bills pick not looking too good. But, man, I thought when they come back and take the lead, I thought, man, we're going to be right. It's going to be the Bills and Eagles. The Chiefs do the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, and can I cry about the refs? No, I'm not. Everyone's bagging on the officiating. Look, there's a couple of calls that I'm sure we've beat that drum far too much today. It's almost 7:40 right now, so I'm sure people have heard about this enough. I was a little confused on the spot. I thought Josh Allen had the first down, and then the catch that they ruled somehow a catch. I don't know how you could say he had control of that, but I digress. Look, Buffalo had an opportunity to overcome those moments, and this is what I was saying about the Chiefs. You've got to be dang near perfect to be able to beat them. But I felt like the Bills had that recipe. And at one point in the game, I'm with you, Jessica, I thought when they took that lead, if they were able to get another stop and then compound that thing, the last thing you can do at Arrowhead Stadium is when there's 8 minutes left to go in that game to have this thing be a one-score game one way or the other. Because we've seen that movie far too often. Teams that have taken on the Chiefs, whether it's at Arrowhead Stadium or on the road, have seen that far too often. That stat that they are undefeated, and I can't remember, 16 one-score games, you cannot put yourself in that position to where you give the ball to 15 or you allow Harrison Butker to try to kick a game winner or a field goal to tie the game to send it to overtime, and then you get the ball to 15. So Buffalo, there were a lot of things in that game. If there's one thing that I circle, though, they found themselves in too many down and distance issues where they were 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, where they had to go for it on 4th down. They were denied a few times on 4th down. There were moments that they probably could have taken the points as opposed to going for it on 4th down. And in games like that, those little things matter. I get it. You're trying to win the game early on, but the down and distance part that Buffalo struggled with and putting Josh Allen's body, he's a big guy. The guy is a competitor. But you put that type of pounding on him throughout the game. All right, get us 1 yard here, give us 2 yards here when everybody is driving for you. That takes its toll as well. I look at Buffalo from that standpoint. If they are in 3rd and less than 5 the majority of the game, I like probably where they are, but they found themselves in a lot of the down and distance disadvantage, in my opinion.
Well, so Greg's team's back in the Super Bowl. Greg and Ben, it's basically Greg and Ben versus Nick and me because it sounds like you and I are both going to be all in on the Eagles.
I'm sure Greg and Ben are rooting for Cam Jurgens to have a fine game. and that's probably the extent of anything Eagles related that they are hoping for success.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, we got to get to another break here on Sports Nightly. The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Back with more after this.
Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Attention, Husker Nation. Are you ready to power up your game? Sap Brothers high-quality off-road red diesel is the fuel that powers your equipment. As official sponsors of the Huskers, we're here with a winning offer with the Sap Brothers Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. Contract your upcoming fuel needs by February 1st and enter to win 1,000 free gallons of our off-road red diesel to keep your engine roaring and equipment running strong. Sap Brothers fuels Husker Nation. Visit sapbros.net/fuel giveaway for more info.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Wanted to get to this tonight. By the way, Nick Hanley here with us tonight on Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody. Jake had this in the ticker, but we got the announcement not long before the show, about 4:40 today, that from head coach John Cook, that Jordan Larson has decided to move on from being part of the Husker volleyball coaching staff. And he said, well, I'm disappointed we won't have her on staff anymore. I'm thankful to Jordan for all that she has done for our program and over these past 2 seasons, helping us go 66-5 with trips to the NCAA final and NCAA semifinals. Wasn't easy for her balancing the Olympics and a professional playing career at the same time, but she gave everything she had to our players and to the Nebraska volleyball program, and she will be missed. It has been fun watching Jordan begin her Love Omaha career, and we hope she has a great season. Yeah, I don't know how she was doing it. She came out of retirement, plays in the Olympics, was still balancing. There's a lot that these assistant coaches and coaching staff, there's a lot to it, and it's year-round. You got recruiting, and you're able to work out, and you got beach volleyball, and so she is still trying to train. And I know she was a big part. She was a really big influence on Harper Murray, and was just did such a great job of coaching the outsides over the last couple of years and providing her experience. But man, once a Husker, always a Husker. She's still going to be a big part of this program, and will still, no doubt, help in recruiting when you got a name like that that's still all over this sport, and with the professional leagues taking off, and who knows, I think there will eventually be a merger, but Jordan Larson, with as big of a name that she is, playing internationally, and I think she'll probably, I do not know, she's still playing right now, and which is unbelievable that she's been able to still play and take care of her body and play at the level that she has. But I would imagine she's going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. And volleyball's better with her involved in it and her expertise. And nobody knows better than her what this thing needs to look like moving forward. And so, she'll always, again, be a part of this program, huge part of this program. And just like Coach Cook reloads his roster every year, he will be able to reload his coaching staff, as we've seen him do time and time again when he's had coaches get big-time opportunities over and over again. He just grooms these assistant coaches to go on to be great, and he reloads just like he does with that roster. So he'll find somebody else to replace, and that will be an excellent addition to his staff.
Yeah, that Rolodex of coaches that he has, even the ones that we haven't even heard of yet, but you're right. It almost reminds me of when Nick Saban was at Alabama, and you would have one great coordinator move on to get a head coaching job, whether it be in college or the NFL, and he'd bring somebody else in, and then they would be next in line for a great head coaching job. His ability to have that revolving door of coaches and still be able to find great coaches and play at that level that they never missed a beat. You always think continuity on a coaching staff is always going to be key in being able to have success, and yet Nick Saban was able to do that a lot and being able to turn coaches over because they were going on to greener pastures. John Cook's the same way. I mean, he knows what it's first of all what it's going to take to be on his staff and to be able to get the best out of his players and to help develop, but also he's looking for those types of coaches that are eventually going to be head coaches. And so I don't worry about that part of it. You said something about Jordan Larson that I would wholeheartedly agree, just as an ambassador of the sport. And I think it's really interesting right now that Jordan Larson is in a position a little bit later in her playing career. I'm sure if she was given the option, if professional volleyball existed, and it appears to be at least on the cusp of being a little lucrative too, that if she didn't have to go overseas to play professional volleyball, she could do it in the States. At a younger stage in her career, she obviously would have taken that. But this is a great opportunity for her not having to travel overseas to make some money, for her brand, her individual brand that we know. But also, I think as volleyball continues to gain popularity from the professional level here in the United States, Jordan Larson and a lot of those Olympians that played overseas that had endorsement deals, that were able to make a pretty good living professionally from all of that, have a lot that they can bestow, I think, on this younger generation of volleyball players that are coming out of college that are now going to be playing pro volleyball. So you need people like Jordan Larson, not only from a competitive standpoint, because she's still pretty darn good, but also just her overall wisdom, her insight on the business side of volleyball that is getting more and more popular. So I think that is a big part of it. I'm with you. I don't know how she could have balanced it. And I thought it was interesting, the timing of this today, where John Cook had mentioned after the season, Jordan had said she wanted to move on, yet we're hearing about this today. I do wonder if that conversation was had, and then whether it was on John Cook's side or it was on Jordan's side of, I don't think I'm going to have the same type, the type of time that I need to put into the college job, but I haven't gone through it yet. Or maybe John said, I don't want you to give up on us yet. Let's see how the professional experiences first before we completely say goodbye. And now that we're early in that season, they played, I think, 4 games so far. I think the writing was probably on the wall for both sides of, you want a coach that is going to be committed to the development, the recruitment, as you mentioned, but also for Jordan's side, you want her to be able to not worry about that, continue to perfect her game, take care of her body, and be as good as she can and earn as much money as she can. Absolutely.
So we will wait to see what addition he brings in to fill that role on the coaching staff. Also, there's reports out that the Huskers were able to add an outside hitter from the transfer portal. We'll wait till that's official. We get news on that official, but there are some reports out there that they were able to land a pretty big outside hitter. So we will, again, talk about that, pass that along when it is officially official. All right, we got to get to another break, but when we come back, we will wrap up the show with our weekend winners. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back. Final segment of this Monday evening edition of Sports Nightly, and we are going to close out the show as we always like to do with our weekend winners. And Jake is back. He says he's got a winner for us, so we'll let him go first. Jake, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so with the big NFL games this past weekend, me being a Buffalo kid, it was pretty rough to watch the Chiefs pick up another win over my Bills. But I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley for the Philadelphia Eagles. His historic season just continued to be massive. I believe he's the first player in NFL history to have 3 60-plus yard offensive touchdowns in a single postseason. Those are just insane numbers, and I feel like he's running away with Offensive Player of the Year right now.
Great pick. Great job. Nick, who you got?
Well, he stole mine, but that's okay because I'm going to stick with that game. If it wasn't Saquon Barkley, I can't make a combination of this, but I'm going to go with A.J. Brown because with that running game as potent as it is with Saquon Barkley, and you saw them start to load the box a little bit more, passing game became a little bit more effective. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown because I think he's also going to be vital in what the Eagles are trying to do against the Kansas City Chiefs. But 6 catches for 96 yards and a tutty, not a bad day's work in an NFC Championship game.
So I try to keep it with Huskers. I had 3 different options here. I was going to go with the fans for showing up for PAC PBA, for Nebraska women's basketball. Husker wrestling absolutely dominated. But how about track and field, getting things going? As always, 2 teams that are in the hunt for competing for both conference and national titles. And Jenna Rogers, who's absolute rock star, she continues to be the standard, as it says here on Huskers.com, setting the facility record as well as the new #1 mark in the country in the high jump. She has been right there and has been All-American over and over again, both indoor, outdoor, and she is kicking things off with a bang here on the track and field season with breaking yet another record. She's got a lot of those to her name, and then also setting the top mark in NCAA college track and field. So big weekend all around, lots of wins to talk about. Big weekend, we didn't even really chat about it, but Husker wrestling gets back in the winning ways with a couple of dominating victories. And but yeah, it's crossover season, and we're going to talk lots of softball and baseball coming up this week and next week. Softball gets things rolling next week, so we're going to have Nate Rohr coming up. And as mentioned last week, Nick is going to preview the positions for baseball as well. So we got lots of fun stuff coming up this week. Coming up tomorrow, we have Amy Williams in hour number 1. Nick will be back with us here in hour number 2. And yeah, so Nick, thanks for being here again, and we'll look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. And we'll talk to you tomorrow here on Sports Nightly.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.